This room will soon be filled with laughter, tears, and joy. Stories of the road and the songs that made these 29 country music pioneers country music stars. Thank you for joining us for what I think you will agree is a piece of country music history. I think Johnny Russell said it best when he described the people about to assemble in this room as representatives of the golden age of country music. So settle back in an easy chair and imagine that these legends have just paid a visit to your living room. They're here to have fun and let you go behind the scenes and share the stories of their lives just as they lived them.
Circle be unbroken, by and by, Lord, by and by. There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. I was standing by my window on a cold and cloudy day, when I saw the hearse come rolling just to carry my mother away. Will the circle be unbroken, by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky.
Lord, I told the undertaker, please drive slow, for this body you are holding, Lord, I hate to see her go.
Will the circle be unbroken, by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky.
Well, I follow close behind her, trying to hold up and be brave, but I could not hide my sorrow when they laid her in her grave.
Will the circle be unbroken, by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky.
Went back home, Lord, my home was lonesome, 'cause my mother, she was gone. All my brothers, sisters crying, what a home, so sad and lone.
Will the circle be unbroken, by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. In the sky, Lord, in the sky.
I love those old songs like that, and they're fun to sing. Mr. Dickens, you were certainly dressed up fancy today.
I'd still make it any other way.
Wait a minute. Bill, I protest.
Protest
He come
what?
out here in his stage costume, and we were told to wear just plain
Casual.
That's
casual for him.
Wait a minute.
He's a star.
This is my stage for the day.
I can see. I can see.
yard in that.
You don't really mow
always
the
on
yard in that.
stage.
You haven't
The
been by
light
his
comes
home
on
lately.
in the refrigerator when I open it, and I take a bow. So there you go. No ham about me.
How many years you been singing now?
I've been trying for a long time, Bill. I think about 63 years.
Wow. Started before you was born, didn't you?
Well, I was in high school when I started. Yeah. But I was in high school a long time, too.
I don't know if everybody knows this or not. Did y'all know Jimmy Dickens played basketball in high school?
No.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
On which team?
Yep. You had to play 16 quarters a year to earn a letter, which was a circle on your sleeve. And I got 3 of those boogers on my sweater. Yeah.
Was that when they put the baskets on the floor?
You're thinking about croquet, that game
I think we need a song from Little Jim.
a song.
Let's do it, yeah.
Now, y'all, wait a minute, don't rush me. I gotta put my thing on here. I can't hit a lick without my thing on here. Yeah, that's it. What song?
Hey, what are you gonna sing for us?
I don't know. Whatever he kicks off back there.
Whatever.
Whatever it is, it'll be good. Which one are we doing? Old Cold Tater?
That'd be all right.
Sounds good to me.
How much of it do you want?
Much as you want to give us.
Ooh, let's see.
The whole tater.
The whole tater. That takes a while. Let's go.
Sing as much as you want.
When I was a little boy around the table at home, I remember very well when company would come. I would have to be right still until the whole crowd ate. My mama always said to me, Jim, take a tater and wait. And taters never did taste good with chicken on the plate. But I had to eat them just the same. And that is why I look so bad. I have these beauty ways because I always had to take an old cold tater away. One more. It's my national anthem. Yeah, I thought that I'd starve to death before my time would come. All that chicken they would eat and just leave Jim the mud. The beaten actor always laughed upon the china plate. It makes you pretty darn weak to take an old cold tater away. And taters never did taste good with chicken on the plate. But I had to eat them just the same. And that is why I look so sad. I have these beauty ways because I always had to take an old cold tater away. And then the preachers, they would come to stay a while with us. I would have to slip around or raise a little fuss in fear that I might spill the beans or break a china plate. My mama always said to me, Jim, take a tater and wait. And taters never did taste good with chicken on the plate, but I had to eat them just the same. And that is why I look so bad. I have these beauty ways because I always had to take an old, old tater and wait. How many times have we done that?
You're the only man I know that you got your nickname from the song. You've been called Tater ever since that came out.
You know who gave me that nickname?
Who did?
Hank Williams Sr.
Really?
Yes, sir. Walking down the street one day, and he says, Tater, let's go in the store here and buy something. And I've been Tater ever since.
Isn't it true that he wrote Hey Good Looking for you?
Yes, he did.
Well, not for you, not because you was good looking, but I mean, he wrote the song.
we were riding along in an airplane with Minnie Pearl and her husband, Henry Cannon, on our way to Wichita, Kansas. He said, Tater, you need a hit song. I said, Lord knows that. I need a hit song. He said, I'm going to write you one. Get a piece of paper. So Minnie Pearl gave us a piece of paper, and I had a pencil, and he started writing, "Hey, good looking," and in 30 minutes, it was done. He said, "Now record that, that'll make you a hit." And I intended to do that. A week later, we were in the old studios at WSM for the Friday Night Frolic. They said, "Tater, I cut your song today." And I said, "Much obliged, Harm. Appreciate that. What a friend." Oh, my.
It's a little bit of
We could, yes.
About E flat?
E flat?
This is a rehearsal, folks. If anyone could find the joy that true love brings a girl and boy, we could, you and I. If anyone could ever say their true love was here to stay, we could, you and I. When you're in my arms, I know you're happy to be there. Just as long as I'm with you, I'm happy anywhere. If anyone could pray each night to thank the Lord that all is right, we could, you and I. Captain just wants to play this. When you're in my arms, I know you're happy to be there. Just as long as I'm with you, I'm happy anywhere. If anyone could pray each night to thank the Lord that all is right, we could, you and I.
You are everybody's favorite ballad singer. Absolutely.
I never claimed to be a singer.
You are.
I worked 63 years trying to be an entertainer, and I still ain't funny. You know what I mean?
You ain't the only one dressed up today. I want everybody to get an eye full of Jim Ed Brown down there. The
Well,
coat
he
and
always
tie.
looks like that.
Now wait a minute.
Somewhere.
You're not gonna put me after Jimmy Dickens.
Yes, sir.
I wouldn't give that spot to my cleaners.
You know, one time we were in Mr. Moeller's office. You remember Mr. Moeller?
Yeah.
When he managed an awful lot of talent here in town, and I was doing Raggedy Ann on the road, the little recitation with the doll, and Waylon Jennings was on the show one day, and so he came back in, and we were up and standing around in the lobby one day talking, and he said, "Mr. Moeller, don't ever put me back on the show with that man right there." And he said, "Why?" He said, "Who can follow a midget dragging a doll around on the stage?"
It's your turn, Jim Ed. Hey, when you made the
Can we take a little
record,
short break here, you know?
When you made the record, Papa Top,
Yeah.
I know you do it on the stage. You kind of. How
Well,
did you do that on the record?
Let me tell you a little story about Papa Top. Nat Stuckey wrote Papa Top. He sent a tape of a bunch of songs, well, an acetate back then, of a bunch of songs to Chet Atkins. And Chet, I was in his office one day, and Chet said, I don't have time to listen to all of these songs. Would you take this home and listen to it and see if you find anything, in there you think is good? So I went and listened, and I found Papa Top. But Nat was doing it the way he did it, but anyway, I went back and told Chet, and Chet picked up the phone and called him, and he said, Chet, you can't do that because that's my next single. Let me tell you something. Have you ever prayed that somebody wouldn't have a hit? I did. But it was a good song. Anyway, we went in and recorded it. And Felton Jarvis, it was his idea to use the pop, the can thing. And I promise you.
Where you got that idea?
I don't know. Yeah, not that we've ever done that before, But that was back whenever the cans were first coming out and all of that.
Was that a real can on the record?
That was oh yeah. What we did, we went out, we did the song, and then he came up with that idea. So we went down to the local little market, and we bought a couple of. We said, well, we're not going to be able to get it, first 3 or 4 times. It's going to take us a few times.
Sure.
So we bought.
It was Coca-Cola, wasn't
Oh, well, actually. But anyway, we got it the first time. They set the microphone up, and the engineer had everything set, and the first can. So there was a whole bunch of it went to waste.
Sure. Hey, you ever had a room full of 30-something people all go pop at one time?
No, but
and
let
then
me tell you something. There's some awfully talented people here. I don't know that I want to sing in front of all of them, and especially follow the Dickens.
You got to. You got to.
Jimbo Jenkins was his name. You forgot.
Yeah, I forgot.
We worked up a little thing about 5 years ago. I started singing that song, and he said, how did I get in the Hall of Fame? Of course, that wasn't his exact words, but...
We're walking down through the airport in Las Vegas. He said, Jimbo Dickens was his name. I said, how did he ever get in the Hall of Fame?
Fellas, if you'll hit me about the key of E or something or another, I'll give you a little bit.
Yeah, everybody in here.
Everybody ready?
That's a bunch of weak pops.
You sound like the brewery blew up.
I don't believe it ever been a hit, boys.
Give us a chord again.
No one in this room's ever popped the
Nobody
top,
has ever-
So you just have to give us
Have to give
a
you a shot.
Yeah, we have to try.
Here we go.
Okay. Papa Top again. I've just got time for one more round. Set 'em up, my friend. And I'll be gone, and you can let some other fool sit down. I'd like for you to listen to a joke I heard today from a woman who said she was through and calmly walked away. I tried to smile and did a while, but it felt so out of place. Did you ever hear of a clown with teardrops streaming down his face? Papa Top again. I think I'll have another round. Set 'em up, my friend. And I'll be gone, and you can let some other fool sit down. Home to me is misery, and here I'm wasting time. 'Cause a row of fools on a row of stools is not what's on my mind. But then you see her leaving me is not what I prefer. So it's either here watching Dell or home remembering her. Here we go. Papa Top. I think I'll have another round. The I'll be gone and you can let some other fool sit down.
Before we do the next song, Grandpa Jones has an impersonation he wants to do for
An
us.
impersonation?
Who you going to impersonate?
Porter Wagner.
Oh,
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah. You hadn't got high on the inside of yours,
What'd you
though.
say?
You don't have high written on the inside of your jacket.
No, I don't. I don't know what else he's got. Hold on.
Katie, we need a song from you. We've been sitting here a long time now. We haven't heard, well, we heard Dust on the Bible, but we haven't heard of one of your great country songs.
What about God and Who Made Home?
Absolutely. Here, take
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Get ready.
There you be, guys.
Every time
As I sit here tonight, the jukebox playing the tune about the wild side of life. As I listen to the words you are saying, it brings memories when I was a trusting one. It wasn't God who made honky-tonk angels, as you said in the words of your song. So many times married men think they're still single. That has caused many a good girl to go wrong. It's a shame that all the blame is on us women. It's not true that only you men feel the same. From the start, most every heart that ever broken was because there always was a man to blame. It wasn't God who made honky-tonk angels, as you said in the words of your song. Too many times married men think they're still single. That has caused many a good girl to go wrong. Thank you. Thanks, Carol, for singing with me.
I didn't know God made honky-tonk angels.
Whose side are you on, Jim Ed?
You see where I'm sitting right here. You knew I wouldn't get far with that.
Kitty, did you notice when you were singing that all the women stood up and held their hands over their hearts? That's a lot of respect. I know you didn't know when you recorded that you were way ahead of the women's movement.
She started the whole thing.
Well, I tell you what, she sure opened the
We
doors.
salute her for starting the whole thing.
Everybody in country music. She sure opened the doors for all the ladies.
When I came to Nashville, people said, you know, you got that little quiver in your voice. I said, Kitty Wells got it.
One time, this I guess the first date that I ever worked with Kitty and Johnny, I was sitting on the bus with just Miss Kitty and myself, and I was just nervous being on the bus with her. But she was sitting there playing solitaire, and the promoter crawled up on the bus, and he said, and by the way, you can't be doing any BMI songs. And Kitty never looked up. She just kept playing cards, and she said, "Well, I don't guess I'll be going on." That poor guy to death.
When I got my first bus after Harper Valley PTA had been #1, I thought, you know, you got to have a bus. As soon as you have a hit record, you got to have a bus.
Sure you do.
My first one
That
had
was the first
belonged
headache.
to Kitty Wells and Johnny Wright. It was beautiful, rolled and pleated inside and everything. And I just felt so wonderful getting to ride down the road in the same bus that Kitty had been in. But I'd be going up and down the hall, you know, and our driver would turn a corner or something, and I would hit against the wall and be knocked around. I thought, I just somehow can't imagine the Queen of Country Music bouncing around like this in this bus.
Well, she probably didn't, because Johnny was the driver, and Johnny's a pretty darn good driver, and he knew better than to do that.
We had some pretty good drivers.
You know, a lady we haven't talked about since we've all been gathered here, and I know there's a million stories about our dear friend Minnie Pearl. Nobody's talked about. Now, Jimmy, you mentioned her a while ago that you flew into plane with cousin Minnie and her husband Henry. You must have a jillion Minnie Pearl stories.
Minnie Pearl was truly my friend because when I first came to the opera, I'd work in concerts with Mr. Acuff and with Minnie Pearl and Ernest Tubb and so many of my dear friends. I was green at the Grand Ole Opry, you know, and just starting. And I'd do little gags on stage. And Minnie Pearl, when the show was over, she said, "You want me to show you how to get a better laugh out of that joke?" And take the time to show me, you know, teach me the timing and so forth. And it worked, you know, but what I was always so grateful for was her taking the time to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and
The
that's the kind of
timing
person-
was the key to what she did, because she told the same stories, you know, for years and years, but that timing was just so incredible.
You know what she always said? If you get a good horse, ride it. That's what she said. And that's what she did with her gags.
Yeah.
Same old stories year after year, but every time you heard them, they were funny.
The first time I ever saw Minnie was when I was 10 years old in Maryville at a tent show with Roy Acuff. And I'm so thankful that in the last few years that we've had the matinee Grand Ole Opry's on Tuesday and Thursday. Each time we'd be on usually around 3 o'clock or 3:30. And I'd always stay around and wait because Minnie would come out with Roy at 4:30. And Henry was standing backstage telling me what was going to go next and tell me the stories about how many times they'd been out on the road. And he'd give me all those road stories while I'm trying to listen to what Minnie and Roy's doing. Henry was telling me the road stories, but I'm just so thankful that I'd stayed around. You know, I could have been off doing other things, but I wanted to see Roy and Minnie work together as long as I could. And I'm glad I saw it.
Bill, I got a little story quick about Minnie. There was a lady wrote to me one time and said, "It looks like you'd help me out, being that I'm your illegitimate daughter." This is true. And I just ignored it, you know. And a few weeks later, Minnie come up to me and says, "Gene, I got a letter from your illegitimate daughter." I said, "Wait, Minnie, I don't have an illegitimate daughter." She said, "Well, now that's nothing to be ashamed of." I said, "If I had one, it'd be right with me. But I really don't have an illegitimate daughter." She said, "But I never did. I don't think I ever convinced Minnie that I didn't have an illegitimate daughter. This girl was wanting me to send her some money, you know."
I told her I was your
Yeah. Not in this lifetime, Celie.
In 1960, I will tell you, I came to the Opry and as a guest, and Minnie was on the show. And after I sang the song, I walked over to the side of the stage she was on, and she said, "Let me tell you something, Dale." She said, "You're going to be a big star in this business. You've got that charisma about you." And do you know, I didn't know what she was talking about. I went all the way back to California, not knowing, was she talking good about me or what you think? Till I got back and asked my wife, I said, "What in the world does charisma mean?" That's a fact. She told me that. Of course, Minnie was a school teacher, but she said that to me at the side of the stage in 1960.
She's known to be wrong.
Hand Joe
from time
Ellis
to
a
time, you know.
microphone back there. Hand Joe a microphone. He's got a Minnie Pearl.
When I met Minnie, Tex Ritter and I were driving from New York to California, just the two of us. Greatest trip I ever took in my life. We were going through Arkansas, and there was a hat show print sign up on a telephone pole. Said Pee Wee King's tent show in Pocahontas, Arkansas. I said, Tex, you know where Pocahontas is? He's no, but we'll find it. And we went there, and Minnie was on the show. So that's the first time I ever met her. She was a young girl and a wonderful comedian. The next time I saw her, to get close to her, was she played Disneyland, and I went down to see her. And I had grown a beard by that time. So up on stage, she says, girls, there's that sweet Joe Allison. Look at that beard. He said, I want you girls to know that it's all right to go through the brush to get to a picnic. And I did one other thing I'll tell you about real quick, that she wrote about in her book, and it was written up in newspapers and stuff. It was innocent at the time, but I used to be a commercial artist back in my young days. So one time I was in California, and I decided to send Minnie a Christmas card, and I drew a picture of a hat with a price tag on it and dropped it in the mailbox. And they delivered it to her in Nashville, Tennessee, without any hesitation whatsoever.
That was the only address that was on
That's all, just a hat with a price tag. And the post office delivered it to her in Nashville right away.
That's incredible. Jamie?
Yeah, okay, let me see a microscope. I tell you what, I had the privilege of working the last show date, a road date with Minnie in Joliet, Illinois, and it was great, and then later went downhill for her. But my honor of knowing Minnie was the fact that I had the honor of naming her poodles. She wanted some Cajun names. So the last one I named was La Fleur. So I thought I'd throw that in, you know. I played a little part. But she never gave me any advice like some of you guys. I guess she felt sorry for me. Just made it without any advice.
Yeah, Bill, I worked with Minnie, I guess 4 or 5 years in a row on the fair circuit out in the Midwest for Half Peoples, and got to know her and Henry both very well. Flew with them on the plane a lot, and we had kind of an inside joke between us. I've got two favorite Minnie Pearl jokes, and one of them is about brother taking the cat off, and the cat kept coming back, and then he'd take it a little bit further, and the cat would come back, and finally he had to follow the cat home to find his way back home. So every time I'd see her, I'd say, tell him about the cat, you know, and she would laugh, you know, and many years ago I started, from our friendship, sending her a birthday card, because I respected her that much, and she would always send me a card back thanking me for the birthday card up until the last year. And I've got them all at home, and I wouldn't take anything for them.
I worked one of the last shows that Minnie worked. It was those Opry shows just before Juliet in Charlotte, North Carolina. She said something to me that really struck me. She was standing there, and Johnny, I think you may have been on. I'm not sure. But Tater was on there, and I think it was while you were on the stage, Tater. She was getting ready to go on. They were getting ready to introduce her, and she looked at me and she said, "Do you think we'll ever get over being nervous?" And I'm thinking, Minnie Pearl is nervous before she goes on the stage? But then she said, you know, if you don't get a little nervous, then it doesn't mean as much to you as it should.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Bill, Jan wanted to say something.
I love Minnie Pearl, of course, as everyone did. But one of my most cherished moments was right after her second cancer surgery. She had the surgery, I think, on Wednesday or something like that. She called me the following Sunday. She was home. And she said, what are you doing tomorrow about noon? And I said, what are we doing? And she said, well, we're having lunch if you'll come and get me. She said, the doctor said I can't drive, but I can eat. And so I said, I'll be there. And I went to her home and picked her up. And she showed me all through her home. And I'd been there, but just usually downstairs in the living room, whatever. And she showed me some of her treasures that she had collected through the years, and out in the pool house, and it was really a precious time. And then we went to lunch, and I had the privilege of spending 3 hours with Sarah Cannon. Right. She was Sarah that day, and that is one of the most cherished times of my life.
What was the difference between Minnie Pearl and Sarah Cannon?
She was serious, very dignified. And we went to the Belmead Country Club, which was her club, and she was very dignified, and even as Minnie Pearl, she was. But that day, it was just a different persona. It was Yeah, Minnie. Yeah, was a country girl.
I'd give
She
you an
was a
example.
she was a
I'd give you
classy,
an example of
sophisticated
the
lady.
difference. Because I worked a show in Charlotte, North Carolina, during her illness, with her, the True Values store. You remember those tours? And for 45 minutes, she went on that stage, and she never pulled one joke in that 45 minutes. She was Sir Cannon. She talked about Minnie Pearl's life in general, and kept those people spellbound for that entire show.
Well, the thing about her to me was the love that she and Henry had for each other. Well, it was-
A lot of it.
And she told me one time, she said the first time that she went out with Henry, their first date, they went to Roy Acuff's house, or was it a trailer, Oz? Trailer, and they walked in the kitchen, and there was 2 or 3 people down on their knees shooting dice. And Henry looked at Minnie and said, "This is where I want to be." The week that Marty Robbins died, Jimmy Riddle died that week. And Minnie felt real close to Jimmy because she'd worked so much with Acuff and them, and she was really hurting. And I was standing back by the curtain, and she was going on. But she grabbed a hold of me and she said, "I can't do this." She started sobbing. But she went out and she was really funny. She was extremely funny. Then she came off the stage and grabbed me, and I kind of held her there and while she cried a little bit. And I saw Henry walk in, and he didn't come over. In a few minutes she saw him, and so she left and went over to him. Then a few minutes later Henry walked over to me and he said, "Thanks for holding my Minnie."
I think we need some music. Johnny, why don't you sing one for us?
Yeah, Johnny.
Yeah. Gee, I don't know what I'm saying.
How about the one you rehearsed?
Boy, did that get you? Nah, I don't want to do that one. I want to do the other one I rehearsed.
Johnny,
Well, let's
Won't you do that naturally? That's
why don't
how
you do
we-
that
okay, we didn't rehearse
Buck
that, so
Owens song?
let's do that. I saw
Buck Owens.
they had Buck on the live.
I saw that.
Last night.
So it's in D. Can we just vamp and I'll jump in there somewhere? Well, they're gonna put me in the movie. They're gonna make a big star out of me. We'll make a film about a man that's sad and lonely. And all I gotta do is act naturally. Well, I bet you I'm gonna be a big star. I might win an Oscar, you can't never tell. Well, the movies are gonna make me a big star, 'cause I can play the part so very well. I hope you come to see me in the movies, for then I know that you will plainly see the biggest fool that's ever hit the big time. And all I gotta do is act naturally. 2, 3, 4. All I gotta do is act naturally.
You know, I think we ought to say at this point, when we're talking about our friends that we've known over the years and all that, while we've taken time to mourn their passing, but every day, and especially when we get together, we celebrate their lives, celebrate what they brought into our lives. We haven't mentioned a guy that I know, Justin, and so many people in this room knew so well. Such a wonderful guy, such a quick wit and such a talent, our buddy Roger Miller. I bet we could tell Roger Miller stories from now till the cows come home. He was at a guitar pull one time where they were just passing the guitars around and singing, and he was on a roll. He was singing one of his hits right after another, and boy, the crowd was just getting into it, and every song was a little better than the one before. Roger stopped after about 4 songs, and he hit a chord on his guitar. He said, "Now here's a little song I wrote while I was singing that last one."
Hey, Bill, this is a little piece of history I'll share with you. It was in Boise, Idaho, and Marvin Rainwater and Roger Miller was on the tour, and myself and Mel Tillis. And it was, Roger had 2 big hits, and man, he was so excited, and we was all happy for him. So Roger told me, he said, Merle, let's rent a big suite. It has a big living room, and we'll have the bedrooms to each side. And we'll have some fun tonight. Well, this disc jockey, who I had met several times, he said, Merle, can I roar with you guys? And I said, well, I don't know. You know, Roger's kind of funny, man. You know, if you ask him a lot of questions, you know, being a disc jockey and want to do liners and interviews, I swear I'll just sit in the corner and I'll be nice. And I said, okay. So Marvin and I had an assignment to write a song for Carl Smith, because Carl says, Merle, I swear, he turned down about 50 of my songs, and he said, I'm going to record whatever you send me, I will record it on the next session. So Marvin and I came up with this song called Why Can't You Feel Sorry for Me? And we were so excited writing it, and Roger kept opening the door and said, listen, I'm working on something. I said, could you excuse us a minute, Raj? Marvin and I are writing a smash here. Why can't you feel sorry for me? He said, listen to this thing I got. Trailers for sale or rent. Da-da-da-da. 50 cents. I said, I don't like trailers. I like a house. He said, oh, I'm sorry. He went back in his bedroom and started writing. So Marvin and I finished up the song, and Roger came back out, and he gave us a few more lines of King of the Road. And the disc jockey that was sitting there was Boxcar Willie.
Oh, wow. What a story. T. Tommy.
Bill, talking about Mel, in one of those stories that Merle was talking about. You know, of course, that before he became a songwriter, he was a salesman, door-to-door salesman, and he became, don't remember what Bible company he worked for, but he was selling Bibles. and Johnny Russell knows this story better than anybody and should tell it about Mel being such a successful Bible seller.
Does it take that long?
Would you wait and see? Give John the microphone there, Albert.
Well, I asked Mel one time, we were talking about how we made money to come to Nashville, and he told me that he sold Bibles. And I said, well, how many did you sell? And he said, well, 368. And I said, well, how long did it take you? He said, a day. I said, well, how do you sell that many Bibles in a day? He said, well, I will walk up to a door and say, I'm Mel Tillage, and I'm selling Bibles. Would you like for me to sell you one, or would you prefer I read it to you? One time, talking about Roger Miller, one time I was in Branson, and Roger called me, and we were talking, and he said, well, Mary and I are fixing to go eat lunch and take the kids. You want to go with us? And I said, well, I'm not ready, Roger. He said, well, if you get ready, we're going. And he told me where they were going. I didn't go because I went back to sleep. A year later, almost to the day, I'm back in Branson, and he's there. My phone rings, and I pick it up, and Roger said, you ready yet?
Well, this was after Roger had made it, and he was in the Brown Derby in L.A. one night, and Frank Sinatra was in there. And Roger had this girl in there with him, and so he goes over to Frank's table, and he introduces himself to him. And he says, like Mr. Sinatra, I'm Roger. He says, yeah, Roger, I know who you are. He said, well, listen. He said, would you do me a great favor? He said, this would be the coolest thing I've ever done. He said, what's that? He said, I've got this girl in here tonight I'm really trying to impress. He said, is there any chance you would just come by the table and say, hi, Roger, like we're old buddies? He said, sure, I'll do that. So Roger goes back to the table with this girl, and a little while later, Sinatra comes over to his table and says, hey, Roger, how you doing? And Roger says, not now, Frank, I'm busy.
Well, I got to know Roger here before he ever made it really big, and so we'd become kind of buddies. And it may seem unbelievable now, but there was a time Nashville didn't have really good string sections. So I'd cut tracks here and go out to L.A. and put strings on. And Gene Autry owned the Continental Hotel, and that's where most of the music people stayed. And I'd been out there about a week and had finished all my sessions and had a flight booked the next morning early back to Nashville. And I was just going to rest that evening and get up early. The phone rang, and it's Roger. He said, "Welcome to Hollywood." I said, "Yeah." He said, "I've got an idea. I've got to come over." I said, "Okay." So he came over, and he said, there's money in records. I know that now. I'm getting royalty checks. But there's more money in commercials. You get residuals. It just keeps on going." He said, "Somebody wrote that Pepsi commercials and made millions of dollars. Let's write a hit commercial." I said, "Well, what do you want to write it about?" He said, "Oh, we got to have a big company." So we settled on Ford. So we stayed up all night. Now, and I'm really tired now. And he's not seemingly tired. He had a little artificial stimulation. So about daylight, I said, "I've got to cancel my flight or something here." He said, "Well, cancel it." "I've got a phone here in my briefcase." He says, "the first portable phone I'd ever seen. Call the airlines, canceled." He said, "Here, take a couple of these. This will, keep you awake a while." So by about 3 o'clock that afternoon, I don't know how many he'd given me. He'd say, "What color do you want now?" I don't know. So we up all that night. Sometime the next day, I said, "What are we doing?" He said, "We're writing a hit commercial." And I said, "What about?" He said, "Ford. But let's hurry up and finish this thing, because I'm getting tired of it." And we used paper everywhere on the floor of the hotel room. So I said, "Lord, give me a line." And I said, F-O-U-R-D. He said, "What's that?" I said, "That's you and a Ford." "We've done it. It's a hit. I'm calling J. Walter Thompson." And he tried to get him on the phone and everything. And then he would get sidetracked, and he said, "You like Willie Nelson, don't you?" I said, "Well, yeah, Willie's great." "Yeah, well, Willie flushes to the beat of a different plumber." And he just one line you to death. It was great.
Joe?
Roger went up behind Ronnie Millsap, put his hands over his ears and said, "Guess who?" He was stopped by a traffic cop, and the cop says, "Can I see your license?" And Roger says, "Can I shoot your gun?" True story. True story. If I ever told the truth of my life. I lived in Studio City, and Roger called me. He was already popular by now. He said, "I want you to go to the dentist with me." I said, "Okay." And he came over. He had a brand new Rolls-Royce convertible with the top down. He says, "Get in." Smelled new. Drove out to the Van Nuys Airport, out onto the tarmac. We got out and got onto a Learjet. We took off, and 20 minutes later we landed in Las Vegas. Meeting the plane was a limousine about a quarter of a mile long. Drove us down to the Sahara Hotel, where there were 2 suites waiting, already booked. So he said, "Going up to the suite, I'll be back in a minute." So in about a half an hour, he came back, and his dentist was in Las Vegas. And he had chipped his tooth, and it took him about a half hour to fix it, and he came back. He said, "Well, we're here. What do you want to do?" I said, "Roger, tomorrow I have a radio show. I don't have a toothbrush. I don't have any money. I have to go to work. I want to go home." He said, "Okay." We got back in the limousine, drove back to the airport. We got on the Learjet and flew back to Van Nuys Airport. We got into the Rolls-Royce convertible. He drove me up to my front door, and as I got out, he said, "Thanks for going to the dentist with me."
Justin Tubb, you wrote some songs with Roger. Y'all wrote a big hit together.
Yeah, we wrote several songs together. I guess the one that most people know was Johnny Wright did the first record on it back in 1964. And then nothing happened for about 25 years, and Highway 101 recorded it. Called Walking, Talking, Crying, Barely Beating, Broken Heart. Yeah. But Roger and I spent a lot of time together back in the early days. We both came to Tree about the same time as writers, and we even shared a house for a couple of weeks one time when our wives kicked us both out at the same time. But I was at a guitar pull one time at Dottie West's house out in Englewood. She and Bill lived out there then, and I thought Hank Cochran was there, and Harlan Howard, and me, and Dottie, and maybe Patsy Cline was even there. I'm not sure, but Roger was supposed to have come, and he wasn't there yet. And pretty soon, the phone rang, and Roger said, "Hey, I'm running late, but I'll be there as quick as I can." And we hung up the phone. About that time, the doorbell rang, or a knock on the door, and we opened up, and there he was. And he had that phone you were talking about in that briefcase. And that was the first one I'd ever seen. He was out on the front porch when he called. But when I went to the memorial that they had for Roger at the Ryman after he passed away, Marty Stewart said something and hit the nail right on the head. Roger's wit and his mind worked so fast that sometimes it got ahead of him. And if you remember, every time Roger would say something funny, he would laugh harder than anybody. And Marty said he is sure that the reason for that is that his mind worked so fast, he didn't know what he was going to say until it was already out. And then that was the first time that he'd heard it, you know. And he laughed as hard as anybody.
Dickens has got a great one, too.
We were doing a guitar pull similar to what we're doing right now. One time, it was a tribute to Sue Brewer. Everybody knew Sue. She was a friend of everybody in country music. And Willie was there, and Merle Kilgore, and Webb Pierce, and Waylon Jennings. And everybody would take the guitar and sing one verse and chorus of a song that Sue liked of theirs. And everybody did their thing, and then they handed me the guitar, and I sang a verse and chorus of Take Me As I Am or Let Me Go. And everybody clapped their hands and, oh, boy, that was good. And everything got real quiet, and Roger said, "Boy, I wish I'd have been here. I might have enjoyed that." I was putting up, he used to live 2 doors from me in East Nashville. And one day I was in the yard putting up a swing set for my little girl. And he pulled up in the driveway and got out and said, "How you doing?" I said, "Oh, this thing's driving me crazy." I said, "I put a bolt in here, and 10 minutes later I find out it goes over here somewhere. I'm about to go crazy." He said, "You know what your problem is?" I said, "No, what?" He said, "You're standing too close to it. You're getting the feedback."
I love what he told Johnny Cash that time. He said, "Don't ever put your pills and your change in the same pocket." He said, "I just swallowed 35 cents. Justin, we need a song out of you. You haven't sung. You're a great songwriter. Do the one that the one that Hawkshaw did that was such a big song.
Yeah, seeing Gene here reminds me. We were on a tour together. I think we were in East Peoria, Illinois, playing a show, and we were sitting in the dressing room, and I sang this song. I gave it to Gene.
And I recorded it.
Yeah, I still think it's a girl's song because when a husband and wife break up, it's usually the guy that has to leave, and the wife stays home and keeps the house and the furniture. And
I recorded the song, and Ken Nelson, it laid in the can for a year or so, and Hawkshaw told me, said, if they're not going to release that Justin Tubb song, he said, I'm going to record it. So he recorded it.
Just call on some 77203. Had our number changed today, although I hated to. But each time the phone would ring, they'd want to speak to you. And it hurts to tell them you're not here with me. Maybe now old telephone will let me be. It's not in the book now, so you better write it down. Just in case your love for me should ever come around. You might want to call and break the news to me. Just call lonesome 77203. I keep the telephone time, hoping you might want to call and say you've changed your mind. If you do, then darling, you know where I'll be. I'm at lonesome 77203. You're the only one I'm giving my new number to. So now, if the telephone should ring, I'll know it's you. And if you ever long for love that used to be, just call lonesome 77203. I'm at lonesome 77203.
Jan Howard, we haven't heard a song out of you. As many songs as you know and as many songs as you've recorded over the years.
Well, okay.
some of those
Tell me that. If I can stand up.
Sure.
I can sing some of those demos. Now, you want to do Evil?
Sure.
All right. There's a little story behind Evil. Evil on your mind.
Tell us
What's
about
your-
it. Tell us about it.
Which story you gonna tell? No, really. No, Harlan and I were married at the time, and every time he would want to go Harlan who? No. We're gonna be nice today. Every time he'd want to go fishing or somewhere for about 10 days, he'd call our friend Hubert Long, who was our booking agent, and he'd get Hubert to book me on the road. So, you know, every time Hubert calls, like, Jan, I've got 10 days up here somewhere. I knew Harlan was going somewhere, fishing or somewhere. But also, he was crazy about Susan Hayward in the movies. He went on and on about Susan Hayward. So I said, well, you're not the only one that fantasizes about something. You pick Susan Hayward, and I'm in every one of those John Wayne movies. So actually, that's kind of the way the story, Evil on Your Mind, went, and Harlan Howard wrote it. So if y'all will kick it off in the key of G, I think I can. You say I need a rest, why don't I go and see my sister way out west? That's very thoughtful of you, dear, and I'm really touched with all this tenderness. But us women are suspicious things, and we know that men aren't born with wings. What's making you so kind? Now, I'm not smart, but I'm not blind, and I think that you've got evil on your mind. You think that you've been good about as long as most red-blooded he-men could. We've been together for so long, I know another pasture's looking good. But don't think that other men don't look at me that certain way from time to time. Don't think that you're the only one that must contend with evil on your mind. Your mind is in a harem and surrounded by exotic dancing girls. You're hearing pretty music as they run their slender fingers through your curls. Oh, dream on, baby. I thank you for the flowers and the candy, honey, that was very kind. For that's your way of telling me you're sorry for the evil on your mind. Yeah, that's your way of telling me you're sorry for the evil on your mind. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Jack Green was playing guitar and going along. Back in 1967, Jack Green, you won every award that year except Female Vocalist of the Year, didn't you?
It was a good year.
It sure was. Go back to 67, do one of those great songs.
Okay, let's do the one that. This is the first year of the CMA Awards. They just and started doing them that year. And the song, Dallas Frazier wrote the song. It won Song of the Year. And it got single, it's got album, and I got male vocals. There goes my only possession. There goes my everything. I hear footsteps slowly walking as they gently walk across a lonely floor, and a voice is softly saying, darling, this will be goodbye forevermore. There goes my reason for living. There goes the one of my dreams. There goes my only possession. There goes my everything.
I remember when I was doing mornings at WSM, the morning that Roy Acuff passed away. We were prepared for his passing. We knew that that was probably imminent. That morning when I hit the radio station and they said Roy had passed away, I said, let's do this. There's time to grieve and to mourn his passing, and there's time for that. It's appropriate. But this morning, let's celebrate his life. And if we're talking about Minnie, or we're talking about Marty Robbins, or Patsy Cline, or Farron Young, or Mama Mae Axton, we're going to celebrate their life. We've all had a time to mourn their death. And we know that that lies in front of all of us. So, hey, you know, it's an accepted thing. But let's celebrate the life of the people. And that morning, Bill Anderson started off the telephone conversation. He called me and he said, I remember the last time I was on stage with Mr. Acuff. And Bill, would you tell that story?
I was telling about the time that, of course, Roy and I had the song, you know, I Wonder If God Likes Country Music, which was a pretty serious song. And Roy had come out on the stage, and as we all know, he was pretty feeble and pretty sick in his last days. And it was really very sad the way that the song came off. But then it was so great to see that Roy Acuff never lost his sense of humor, because at the end of the song, I think the audience really sensed that something special was going on. And at the end of the song, they stood up. And I went over and put my arm around Mr. Roy, as thin and frail and all as he was. And I leaned over. Of course, you know, he didn't see real well in his later years. And I said, Mr. Roy, they're standing up. And he looked at me. He said, they ain't going home, are they? We got a guy over here that, Oz, how many years did you work with Roy Acuff?
54.
How many?
54.
54 years.
Wow. Gonna be a steady job, then.
What do you remember about Roy Acuff? When people ask you today to talk about Roy, what stands out in your mind the most?
I'll tell you one thing that happened. It was in Pennsylvania, at Sunset Park in Pennsylvania. Robert Lund, everybody knows Robert Lund, don't they?
Yeah.
We pulled up in the park, and Roy was asleep when we pulled in the park, and Robert Lund got out and asked everybody for a dime to see Roy Acuff sleep.
Well, now, see, these guys that travel in these buses today, so they couldn't do it because y'all were in the car, right?
Yeah.
How much money did he make?
I don't know what he made. We all got to laughing, and we don't know what he made.
You got your dobro over there. I think we need to hear a little bit of the Great Speckled Bird. Can you do that? Yeah. We liable to all join in and start singing. Too.
Yeah, you can do it.
Get with that.
that cool bird. Remember her name is recorded on the pages of God's holy word, desiring to lower her standards. They watch every move that she makes. They long to find fault with her teaching, but really they find no mistake, 'cause there's not any. That's all I know of the song.
Anybody else know any more? Kitty, you know some of the words? Kitty will jump in and start singing It Wasn't God Who Made Honky Tonk Angels, because it's the same melody.
Roy went out in the green room, we call it there. You know, they got the padded seats and everything. He brought one of those chairs in and put it in his dressing room. And he called it the Johnny Russell chair. And whenever I came in, if somebody was sitting in that chair, he asked them to get up. The only person he wouldn't ask to get up was my mother. And I said, well, Roy, she's sitting in my seat. He said, well, you ask her. But then one night I came in and he had his chair and he was facing this guy and they were really in conversation. And I went over and I stood by Roy and I went, and the man was sitting in my chair. And Roy looked at me and he wouldn't say nothing. And I said, Roy, and he looked at me, he still wouldn't say anything. Finally, the man said something about he felt like something was happening that he was involved in, but he didn't know what it was. And so Roy finally said, well, to tell you the truth, that's the Johnny Russell chair, and when he comes in, everyone who's sitting in it, we ask him to get up so he can have a place to sit down. So he said, well, let me get up. I don't want to break tradition. And he got up, and I sat down in the chair. And when he left, when he walked out of the room, Acuff looked at me and he said, you realize he owns every chair in here. It was Mr. Galen.
That's your spots.
He thought it was funny, and he got a kick out of it.
Hey, I got to tell one. When Hank Williams Jr. was doing the outlaw movement at the very peak of the outlaw movement, and Hank was invited to sing on the Grand Ole Opry, and Roy said, I'm going to introduce him. I've known him as a little boy. So Hank got excited, called Manuel in Hollywood, and had one of those dusters from this, right from the outlaw movie. You know, boy, he was a beautiful duster, all trimmed up nice, and had a nice velvet collar and real long. And so Roy looked at him on the stage. He said, now, friends, here's a little rascal that I helped raise. Tonight he's appearing with long hair and a nice little raincoat. Hank Williams Jr.
Well, he was introducing me one night, and he said, here he is, and he told him where I was from, told him about my records, and he said, now here he is, Johnny, somebody said Russell, and he said, oh yeah, Johnny Russell. I came out and he said, Johnny said, I want to apologize for not being able to remember your name. I said, well, that's okay, Mr. Snow. That didn't bother me. And from then on, we were buddies.
You know, Bill, one time, he and Herman Crook, you know, would be on the stage a lot of times together, though, you know. And Herman would walk out, and Roy said, Herman said, did you ever drink? Said, no, never did drink. Said, well, said, did you ever go out with any other women? And he said, no. Roy said, you don't know what you missed.
Bill, I think probably Osmond can tell you more about this, but I was along on the trip. Every time Roy would go into a restroom at a truck stop somewhere, one of the boys would slip a note under the door and say, God is watching you. So Acuff didn't know, of course, the boys were doing it. And they went to the truck stop, and one of them slipped a note under the door and said, "God is watching you." And Roy had just about all he could take. So the guys had done left the restroom. He come out and this big old burly truck driver sitting there, and he slapped him on the shoulder and said, "I know God's watching me."
Gene, keep the microphone. Keep the mic. I was gonna get Gene to sing a little bit of the Wabash Cannonball because you always do that.
See ya.
Everybody, we'll all sing.
From the great Atlantic Ocean to the wide Pacific shore, from the green old flowing mountains to the south down by the shore. She's mighty tall and handsome and known quite well by all. She's a combination called the Wabash Cannonball. She came down from Birmingham one cold December day. As she rode into the station, you could hear all the people say, "There's a gal from Tennessee, she's long and she's tall. She came down from Birmingham on the Wabash Cannonball." Yodelay, yodelay, yodelay. He never did yodel.
I think Joe Allison wanted to tell us something.
As some of you might know, my mentor and the guy who started me and trained me and I learned to love was Tex Ritter. And Tex, I traveled with him all over the country. And one time I was a disc jockey here. Tex was on the road and he called me. I must preface this by saying he had a manager named Irving Yates, and he had hung a phrase on Tex that Tex hated. He called him America's most beloved cowboy. And Tex hated that phrase. In fact, when we get mad at Tex, we'd call him beloved on the road. You know? So he called and said, "I've got some more dates." He said, "I'm sick. I don't know what to do. I've got flu, pneumonia. I don't know what it is." So he said, "Do something for me." He said, "I'll be in there tomorrow." So we called out to Vanderbilt, and when he got in, we took him out there, and they said, "Yeah, we'll do something for him." And so they put him in this little vestibule with a curtain across, and this little Oriental doctor came in. "Mr. Tex?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "What are you going to do for me?" He said, "Drop your pants, please." Well, Tex didn't even take off his costume. Now, he had his hat with the hair out from under the hat, and a cigarette with the ashes out to about there, big, thick horn-rimmed glasses, and he dropped his pants, and they caught on the tops of his boots, and they were just hanging over the edge. So he dropped his shorts, and they hung there too. Then he just reached down and got his coat, and he pulled it up like this, and there he stood. Now get that picture. And this little Oriental doctor down behind him was fixing his syringe, his needle, and like this, and just about to give him his shot, and Tex turned around, pulled himself up fully, and he says, "Young man, are you aware that you're about to insert the needle into the derriere of America's most beloved cowboy?"
In 1965 or 66, we'd played a show and up in Kentucky, and was on our way home. And that was the first time that Charlie Pride was going to be on stage at the Opry, and Mr. Acuff was going to announce him. And more likely, what the people of Marcia Victor had went to Roy and say, at that time, he had a top 10 record without anybody knowing Charlie Pride was a black man. You know.
Snake Scrawling Night.
Yeah, the Snake Scrawling Night. And so the R.C. Victor people told, I guess, Acuff, "Don't say anything about Charlie being black." Okay. Well, it's just fact. Knowing him, he probably started thinking. And so when he got out there, well, this is the way he did it that night. And Big Jim Webb had to stop the bus because he couldn't drive it no longer. He started laughing so hard. And Roy's always said, "Thank you. Bless your hearts, children. We're glad to have you here tonight. We got a wonderful person coming out here. He's made his mark in country music, and just because he's a boy that that comes from the great state of Mississippi, and he's a wonderful person. They tell me he's an awful good boy, but just because he's colorful boy that. Well, he's made his mark in country music, and he's a wonderful person. Let me say this about the kid. You can't judge a good book by its cover. Come on here, start crying.
What did Mr. Acuff say? You would imitate him to his face, wouldn't you? I mean,
well, you know, a lot of times when I go out there, he'd say to me, he said, "Who are you going to impersonate tonight?" And I'd tell him, he said, "No, you ain't. You're going to do me." And he pulled up a chair and sat right in front. He said, "Now let me see what you can do." And then that night I did I tell the people that he was going to go rock and roll. And I did that, you ain't nothing but a hound dog in waltz time. You know? And just knocked him out. He just sat there and looked at you, and the people just absolutely going wild. And when you got through, he said, "Well, he's not bad." At all times. G. Yeah, waltz time. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. Never caught a rabbit, and you ain't no friend of mine. Yeah.
Give us a laugh, Jeannie C. Riley said you said you had a serious story about Mr. Acuff.
Yeah, it was just a great bit of advice he gave me one time out at the Grand Ole Opry. I was never blessed to be a regular member of the Opry, but I did get to do a number of guest shots on there. And of course, I always noticed each time I did Harper Valley PTA, I went over better than any other song that I did. And this particular night, I'd been out there a little more often. I thought, well, I can do 2 other songs, you know, leave Harper Valley out. I did, and it didn't go over so well. You know, they gave me a mild applause. And out in the parking lot that night, and I did not know Roy Acuff personally, but he stopped me and gave me a bit of advice that worked from there on out. He told me, he said, the folks know you by Harper Valley PTA. If you come out and do that first, they'll listen to anything else you want to give them afterwards. And I found out that every time when I went to the Opry after that, if I did Harper Valley and did something else second, it went over the way it was supposed to go over. And I really appreciate that advice from a man that didn't really know me personally, and I didn't know him, but he helped me out with that little bit of advice.
Does that mean I got to start opening with the Purple People Eaters?
Speaking of his house, did y'all ever hear about the time he was out mowing his lawn, and the lady pulled up and she didn't recognize him, didn't know who Roy Acuff was, and she rolled down the window and she motioned for him to come over, said, "Young man, how much do you get for mowing lawns?" And Roy said, "Well, the lady in this house lets me sleep with her every night." She rolled up the window and took off.
Bill, I remember you, toward the last, you know, it seemed like Mr. Acuff had lost so much of his eyesight, and he would basically tell you he was just about blind, you know. And there was a real pretty blonde-haired girl that walked by his dressing room. Were you in there that night, Johnny Russell?
Yeah.
And do you remember?
He could see that all right.
Not just the girl. He saw her ankle bracelet on her ankle as she walked by.
He told me one time, I hadn't joined the Opry at the time, but he would put me on his show. I wouldn't be scheduled, but he would put me on his show. And he told me one night, he said, "You know, they can't schedule you because sometimes because they don't have room, but I'll put you on my show. You just come out here ready to go on the show, and I'll put you on." And I said, "Well, Roy, because I was wanting to be a member, and I didn't want to do anything wrong." I said, "Well, what if it makes them mad?" And he just kind of leaned back, closed his eyes, and he said, No, we ain't gonna worry about that. So I went to Hal Durham and I told Hal what Mr. Acuff said. And I said, I don't know what to do. I don't want to make you mad. I don't want to make him mad. So I don't know what to do. And Hal looked at me and said, well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what I'm going to do if Roy Acuff calls me out on stage. And I said, well, what are you going to do? He said, I'm going.
Going.
He said, so I suggest that if he calls you out, go out. But he said, now you know when we're full, and if you would, I'd appreciate it if you'd be hard to find. So a couple of times I went out and stood out in the audience, and Roy would introduce me, and I was out there and I couldn't come back. But that's just the way he was. He wanted to help you, and he wanted to do things for you. I would say he's probably the biggest one reason I'm a member of the Opry, because Hal said he would come in the office and he wouldn't say you should make Johnny Russell a member. He would open the door and look in and he'd say, you're making a mistake, and then leave. And Hal finally stopped him one day and said, what do you mean I'm making a mistake? He said, if you don't make Johnny Russell a member, you're making a mistake. It wasn't that he was telling him what to do, he was just telling him what he wasn't doing right.
We have a rare opportunity here today, and I'm surprised somebody hadn't done this sooner, because we have the man present who can confirm or deny a Grandpa Jones story.
Uh-oh.
And so far, nobody's told one.
Yeah.
But, oh, you can write a book. But I want to tell one and have Grandpa tell if this is right or not, because this is the way I heard it. That he had a dog that was getting out and chasing his chickens, and one of them was a chicken killing dog. And so he didn't want that, of course. And he was standing there talking to somebody till he noticed this dog got out from under the fence. It was a hole that was under the fence. And he got out and started chasing down this chicken, and Grandpa caught him. And he got a stick and just whipped that dog good and threw him back over the fence. And they said, well, Grandpa, he'll just get out again with that hold. He says, not till the swelling goes down.
All right, is that a true story?
Hey, I got what it's true now. This is what he done to me. I wanted him to go with me one morning to a Sunday school. The teacher said, bring one of your best friends. I called him. I said, Grandpa, you're my friend? He said, yeah. I said, will you do me a favor? He said, why, sure. And I said, how about going to Sunday school with me? He said, I just sat there and couldn't hear him. And I said, I'll tell him. Don't bother you. All you'll have to do is just sit there and listen. And he said, well, I thought, boy, I've got him now, you know. I said, just this one time. He said, well, no, I won't go. I said, I guess I can take that as a no.
What about the dog story? You just well tell them about the cow that is in the...
Yeah, hey.
Tell us about it, Grandpa. Tell us about the cow.
You tell him.
Yeah.
Okay.
You tell him.
Okay, thank you.
Well, go ahead.
When I got these cattle, and one of them...
What cattle?
Cattle. What cattle?
That was it. It wasn't me. It was him.
And so... Huh?
The white ones.
Yeah, the white. Anyhow, one of them... Let me talk. One of them...
What were you going to be? What was you working at being?
Cattle
bearer.
Cattle bearer. Okay, now can I talk? Yeah. Okay. And one of them, I had him, I don't know, 5 or 6 months, and one of them disappeared. A good cow, and I didn't know where. I hunted all over the farm for him. And
Ramona had to go with you too.
yeah, Ramona went with me, and we walked all over that place and couldn't find that cow. And I called him, and I said, I lost a cow. And he said, well, I'll come over in the morning and help you find her. So I called him that night, and I said, Bill, you don't have to come over. I said, I found my cow. And he said, where was she? And I said, in the ice box. I'd forgotten it, you know. I played a lot of dates in West Virginia. Fine folks down there to pick for. I bet Johnny has too. Yeah, and I remember one time I had a fellow by the name of Lenny Aylshire. Does anybody know?
I know Lenny Aylshire.
One-fingered fiddle.
Well, Lenny was a fine dancer and a fiddle player. Had one finger. He said he lost a fight with a not a chainsaw. They wasn't happening
Circular
then,
saw?
but a circular saw.
Yeah.
And and he'd play all over that fiddle with that one thumb, that finger. And you know how back years ago, Johnny knows it, and he does. The bottom of your car or the floor would be just everything in there, you know, just everything you could put in there. So Lenny was in the back seat, and we was driving along through one of them. Back then, the roads was awful crooked, and Lenny picked up one of these newspapers, old newspapers, and held it up and said, "Well, I see where Lincoln was assassinated."
I got to tell you another story about Grandpa and Lenny Aylshire. Grandpa told me this one. I thought that's where you was going a while ago with the Lincoln story. But said they'd been playing a date, and back then there wasn't nothing open the night after the show, but maybe the occasional little diner, you know. Finally they came up to one of these little diners back there in the hills of West Virginia. They went in, and the short order cook was back there frying them hamburgers, you know, and sweating and wiping himself. And they sitting up at the counter. Finally he turned around and said, "What do you boys want?" Lenny spoke up and said, "Give me a coconut and a hard-boiled egg, something you can't get your nasty hands."
Now, this is a grandpa story. I don't know if it's true or not.
Don't you tell that.
Grandpa was fencing in his pasture out there in Goodlettsville.
True story. True story.
And he had a winch, you know, on the front of his Jeep to tighten the wire and everything. And he fenced his Jeep in.
With no gate.
With no gate. He said, he walked over and he kicked the tire real hard on that Jeep. He said, "If you could eat grass, I'd just leave you in here."
I think the true stories are the funniest by all means. But you live up Springfield, I think, when we was touring a lot, and you rode with me
No,
up in Canada.
I was as high as Springfield, but
No, you was building the new house because Ramona moved in it while we was gone. You remember that? Let me tell it my Anyhow, we've been on. It's just your house. What do you know? We'd been on about a 20-day tour up in Canada and around, and Grandpa was riding with me. He just had one car at the time, and it was about time for school to open, and the new house was about ready. His nephew or somebody was building it, but he was still living in Springfield, and so he left his car there so Ramona could take the kids to school, and every day he'd call in and get a progress report, you know. Finally, they moved in about halfway through the tour. So we finished up on a Friday night. Normally that far away, 900 miles or so, we'd have stayed over till the next day. And Grandpa said, "If you ain't too tired," said, "why don't we start on back tonight?" Said, "If you get sleepy, I'll help you drive." So we drove straight through, got into his new place out there on Ridgetop. About it was after dark the next night. And beautiful house, his dream home, and all this stuff. Opened the door and walked in, and it smelled like 7 dozen rotten eggs. Grandpa said, "Ramona, what in the world is that?" She said, "Grandpa," her face was this long, said, "we've got sulfur water." Oh! He'd gone out there and drilled his well and struck water, but he didn't have it tested. Built the house, and she'd just taken a shower. That old house smelled like crap. I never felt so sorry for a fella in my life.
Not me.
Didn't it smell like that, pal?
Yeah. No, no, thanks.
Yeah, you did. Anyhow, the continuation of this is they finally ate up so many filters that he drilled a well down at the foot of the hill. You remember this, don't you?
Yes, sir.
He was playing noontime neighbors at that time, and he drilled and drilled. Thought at the foot of the hill they'd get water pretty quick, see. But every day at noontime neighbors said, "Well, Grandpa, have you struck water yet?" This went on 4 or 5 days, and finally one, he said, "Grandpa, have you struck water yet?" And he said, "No, but we smell rice a burning."
The story I heard was on like Friday Night Frolics, when it used to be done from the studios at WSM. Grandpa and Stoney Cooper had both come back to work that same night. Stoney had had a heart attack, and when he signed his program off, he said, "I want to thank you neighbors for all the hundreds and hundreds of cards and letters that you sent me during my recent heart attack, and I sure do appreciate it, and thank you from the bottom of my heart." So Grandpa followed him on the air, and so at the end of his program, he says, "Well, I want to thank you for the dozens of letters that you sent me for my recent gallbladder operation." He said, "You know, I reckon heart attacks just outdraw I'd love to hear Paycheck sing.
Yeah, I think all of us would. Johnny Paycheck's one of everybody's favorite singers. Grab the guitar there.
Yeah, here's a good one.
There,
Just like one jazz
I don't know if it is, but it's a good one.
It's mine. It's tuned when it came from the store.
What are we gonna say?
Whatever you want.
Whatever you want to do.
That's not bad right there. That's a good heavy chord. Get on there.
You done played too much guitar.
Not loud. I mean, but I use a capo real good. All right.
Would you rather have the steel?
No, thank you. Hit me a B, boy. B. Y'all know, what do you want me to sing?
Some we can sing with you.
Take her, she's all I've got.
Oh, yeah.
Want to do the old violin?
Yeah.
I can't recall one time in my life I felt as lonely as I do tonight. I feel like I could lay down and get up no more. It's the damnedest feeling. I never felt it before. Tonight I feel like an old violin, soon to be put away, never played again. Don't ask me why I feel like this, I can't say. I only wish this feeling would just go away.
I guess it's 'cause the truth is the hardest thing I ever faced. 'Cause you can't change the truth in the slightest way. I tried. So I said, John, where do you go from here? Then like a fool, I turned around and I looked in the mirror. And there I was seeing an old violin, soon to be put away, never played again. And just like that hit me. Well, that old violin and I were just alike. We'd give our all to music, and soon we'll give our life.
Don't put the guitar down. I've heard you sing gospel songs, and I know you've got one that you want to sing. You say you got a paycheck story while he's doing that?
I hate to tell this if he's going to do a gospel song. It doesn't exactly go hand in hand. Well, the thing is, I don't know if you'll remember this, Johnny.
I got one too.
You were playing the Taft Hotel in New York City, and I was privileged to be the girl singer on this particular tour. We'd been out to Nevada and worked our way in an automobile, all cramped up together, all the way to New York. And, you know, I thought show business wasn't as glamorous as it was cracked up to be that trip. But I was such a fan of Johnny Paycheck's. After I'd do my numbers, he'd be on the stage, however long he was. I wouldn't go to the restroom. I was afraid to miss a note. I was such a fan, but in those days, his manager was trying to keep him from drinking. Now he straightened up from that this day and time. This particular night, he had so much to drink he was hiding from his manager, and he ended up in my room. I don't think you remember this, Johnny. That's why I asked you a while ago. Should I tell about the Taft Hotel?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Well, you proceeded to lay down in my bed and you went to sleep. And I kept sitting up in this chair, and it got later and later, and I thought, I don't know how in the world I'm going to be able to sing tomorrow. You know, I was having a hard enough time as it was. I was so nervous being on that tour, and I was brand new in the business, trying to get in it. And finally, it just dawned on me, he'll never know if he's on top of the cover. If I get in on the other side and just pull the cover up, you know, we'll be separated by the cover. So I got in, and I slept for several hours with you, and I don't think you ever knew it, because I got up the next morning.
Now you tell me. There's a lot of things happened that way back then.
When he found out that's the reason he quit drinking.
You know, Donnie, but John.
That's all right. You call me Donnie.
I know. Well, I can now. John's had. He's kind of like Furlong Husky. He's had several names in this business. Yeah. I didn't know he had changed his name to Johnny Paycheck. I known him as Donnie Young for years.
I recorded him when he was Donnie Young.
Right. Yeah. We walked into playing a show somewhere, and I said, "Hey, Donnie, how you doing?" He said, "Don't call me Donnie. My name's Johnny." And I said, "Excuse me." I said, "You are Donnie to me." He said, "Well, that's okay." I said, "You can call me that, but I don't want nobody else to."
She said, "It always will be." She said,
Why'd you change your name?
Well, because the other one didn't work, I guess.
Sing us a song.
Let's see. Oh, yeah.
You mean, where'd you get that name? Is there? Aubrey Mayhew gave it to you, didn't he?
He was a heavyweight fighter, Johnny Paycheck.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Aubrey Mackey was too.
Yeah. He was a heavyweight fighter too.
We could say that, can't we? Sure. What? Let's see. I don't know what. I don't know what I'm gonna say that.
I got one here if I can just find out where it's at.
One day, I forget what key. On a hill. Yeah, let's see. Let's see. On a hill far away, sitting on rugged cross, the emblem of suffering and shame. And I love that old cross where the dearest and best for a world of lost sinners were once slain. So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophy at last I lay down, and I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. Oh, that old rugged cross, so despised by the world, has a wondrous attraction for me. For the dear Lamb of God left his glory above to bury in dark Calvary. In that cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. And exchange it someday for a
Why do you think it is? I'll ask Billy Walker. Why do you think it is when country singers get in a group together before long they're singing gospel songs?
Well, I think probably it's because gospel is really the roots of country music. And two, there's something spiritual in country music that gospel put in there. You know, I was telling somebody the other day, you really realize the redeeming factor of country music. It's really got a redeeming moral to it. You take your cheating heart, and it says if you cheat, you're going to pay. It's just like Charlie's shoes. Well, I looked at this woman, like to be in Charlie's shoes. I looked at this woman and I said, boy, would I really like to have her. I really want this woman. And then the desire got so strong, well, he finally got a hold of this woman, and what he got hold of was troubles, sorrows, and heartaches. And so country music and gospel music are kind of hand in hand. One is talking about the spiritual side of living, and that's the gospel. Because, see, being a country music performer, and folks that like country music generally have a great feeling for the Lord. And that's where, when they sing gospel songs, that feeling of being close to our Redeemer is really prevalent. And then when we sing country music, we sing about situations, and we get lighthearted, and sometimes we get sad because there's sad situations in life, and that's really what country music is about. But in answer to your question, it's the closeness with our Redeemer when we sing gospel music. And you notice we all joined in, and we all knew the words, and we all loved what we were singing. And there was a couple of teary-eyed people, including me, when we start singing about the old rugged cross.
One of the greatest gospel singers in the world is sitting behind you. I remember, Kitty Wells, one of the greatest singers of any kind. But I remember one of the first albums that I ever had was called Singing on Sunday. You sang some terrific gospels. Gospel music's been a big part of your life, hasn't it, Kitty?
Yes, it has. I grew up singing gospel songs, and that's where I got started, really, singing gospel songs.
I bet you if we ask everybody in this room where they sang the first time in public, 90% of us would say in church. I imagine that.
I was at the zoo. At the zoo.
Yours was what, Skeeter?
At the zoo.
At the zoo.
Was it really? Is that true? I sung Pop Goes the Weasel at the zoo. I'm really happy to be a part of all this today.
We're glad to have you. Kitty, could you sing a gospel song for us?
Yes, sir.
I think everybody's kind of in that mood right now.
Does anybody, do you know Dust on the Bible?
Yes.
Of course,
Oh,
yes.
yeah, my
Yeah. What key?
I think that's G.
The L's right.
Start out with dust on the Bible, dust on the Holy Word, the words of all the prophets and the sayings of our Lord. Of all the other books you'll find there's none salvation home. Get that dust off the Bible and redeem your soul. I went into a home one day to see some friends of mine. Of all the books and magazines, not a Bible could I find. When I asked them for the Bible and they brought it, what a shame. The dust was covered orange, not a fingerprint was plain. Dust on the Bible, dust on the Holy Word, the word of all the prophets and the sayings of our Lord. Of all the other books you'll find none salvation home. Take that dust off the Bible and redeem your soul. You can read your magazine of love and tragic things, and not one verse of scripture, not one verse do you know. When it is the very truth and its contents good for you, dust on the Bible will doom your poor soul. Dust on the Bible, dust on the Holy Word, the word of all the prophets and the sayings of our Lord. Of all the other books you'll find there's none salvation hope. Get that dust off the Bible and redeem your poor soul. Thank you.
We've got a gentleman here. We're talking about record companies. Fred Foster headed up Monument Records here for many, many years. You've worked with a lot of the characters in this room, haven't you, Fred?
My good fortune, I might add.
Well, I imagine you got a few stories on some of them too,
Quite
don't
a
you?
few. This is one I can tell because it's a story that I will never forget. This
Tell
night,
one on me.
you know how well insulated recording studios are. You never hear any outside noises to distract you, nothing to spoil your sound. And I've done hundreds of sessions in the studio, never heard one sound from outside. And Billy Walker was on the label, and he came to me one day and said, "Why don't we do some gospel sessions?" I said, "Yeah, let's do." So George Beverly Shea is a dear friend of mine, and he wrote "How Great Thou Art" and sings it, of course, beautifully. And I discovered so does Billy. And we were recording "How Great Thou Art," and the take was just magic. It was just one of those that, you know, you can feel it. I'm just praying, "Oh, Lord, don't let it break down somewhere." And he gets to the line, "I hear the rolling thunder." The whole building shook. It was the greatest clap of thunder I have ever heard. It went on tape, right on cue, like it was directed. And Billy looked at me, and I looked at Billy after it was over. Everybody kept playing, thank God. Nobody stopped, and we made a great record there. And I said, "Well, I guess he's trying to tell us something, Billy."
Didn't you also make some records with Grandpa Jones?
Yes, I did. I want to tell how I first met Grandpa. I was a big fan of his because I loved 8 More Miles to Louisville and all those things. And he was on King Records, you know, for a long time. And I guess maybe the Apollo people learned from Sid Nathan, who owned King, because he never paid anybody either. I went to one record store in Washington, D.C. I was living up there then. And when 8 More Miles to Louisville was a big record, and I said, "How many of these copies of this record have you sold?" And they said, "About 5,000. I doubt if Grandpa ever got paid on 5,000. No telling what he sold nationally. But I was a promotion man for Mercury Records then, and I came down to Nashville, and I wanted to go to the Grand Ole Opry, and most all of you remember Mr. Norris, who kept the back door. And he became a great friend of mine. I loved him. But anyway, he let me in. He didn't know me. I told him who I was and what I did, and he said, "Well, you just come on in." And Grandpa was wearing makeup in those days. He didn't have his mustache. He had it glued on. And it was in August. It must have been 110. And he was standing backstage in front of the fan, and he was holding his mustache up. And the sweat pouring off of him, and the mustache is trying to blow off, you know. And he said to me, "Well, I look like a she-buzzard up a crabapple tree in a hailstorm." He says, who are you? And I told him my name. And as I got to know Grandpa, I couldn't wait to go fishing with him because he's telling me all these fishing stories. So I lived out near Old Hickory Lake, and he came out one day, and he's dragging this little boat along, an aluminum boat with about a 7.5 horse motor on it. We get in the lake, and he says, "I know where they are." Well, I know where they are. So we head down the lake, putt along, and all of a sudden he cuts the motor. And I said, what do we do? He said, "We got to sneak in there in this cove." So he gets his oar, and he puts it in the water and just barely pulls it, you know, making no noise. And boy, my adrenaline is starting to pump, you know. And he says, "Over there by that log is the bass of the year. I'm going to let you make the first cast." I said, "Oh, gosh, man. Well, let me put this by that log, you know." And I was so charged up, I threw it all the way up in a tree. And Grandpa says, "No. And he starts beating the oar on the boat. He says, "You've ruined everything." He said, I know you can squirrel hunt, but we're fishing."
Did you make that great record with him of T for Texas where he starts laughing before it's over?
Yes, I did.
What was the story on that?
Grandpa, we wanted to do some Jimmy Rogers things, and he can sing those really well. And Ray Eddington was playing the acoustic guitar on those sessions, and he was playing it so great, and everybody was all excited. And Grandpa broke on the yodel at the end, and he thought we were going to take it over, so he started laughing. But everybody kept playing, and then just sort of ended it, you know. I said, "Grandpa, that's so spontaneous and so wonderful. Let's just leave it." And he said, "Well, all right." So we did, and it was a top 10 record. And we got many, many comments on that. And some of the greatest experiences I've ever had in the studio have been with Grandpa, because it's a thrill always to work with an original, and he's an original.
Was it your session when the drummer showed up and asked Grandpa if he wanted drums on the record?
I don't know.
What'd you tell him, Grandpa?
Prince Albert show.
Huh?
Prince Albert radio show with Jack Stapp.
Oh, that's right.
Let him tell you.
What did you say to him, Grandpa, when they asked you if you wanted drums to play along with you?
Very little, if any.
Bill, on the old Prince Albert shows, we used to go up and rehearse every Saturday. And if anybody, Grandpa was on pretty regular, if anybody had to cut their songs, it was Grandpa. They'd say, Grandpa, can you cut a little bit of your song?
Make it shorter, you mean?
Yeah, make it shorter, you know. So he walked up there one Saturday, we was rehearsing, and he just said, twang, and he hit his banjo, said, is that short enough?
A little irritated.
Back when I worked for the Wilburn Brothers, one of my jobs was to book the guest on a TV show. And I would have to have it done by like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because they had that little card where they put their name on it and take it out of the mailbox. I called Grandpa's house one morning to see if he'd do the TV show that night. Eloise, his daughter, answered the phone. I said, "Is Grandpa there?" And she said, "No, he's not here. What do you need?" I said, "Well, I need him to do the TV show tonight." She said, "Oh, well, he'll be glad to. He's gone fishing, but he'll be back in time, and he'll do it." I said, "Okay." Well, about 4 o'clock, I got a phone call. It was Grandpa. And he said, "What did you want?" I said, "Well, I told Eloise I want you to do a TV show tonight." "Well, I can't do it." I said, "Well, Grandpa, she told me you would." He said, "Then let her do it."
Tennessee Ernie Ford came down one time and replaced Red Foley on the Prince Albert portion of the Grand Ole Opry for 7 or 8 weeks. And he stayed with me when he was here. And I would drive him around to different places with rehearsals. And his spare time was taken up entirely of following Grandpa around and writing down everything that he said. He said, "Where's Grandpa? Find him." And so he'd just follow him around. And if he said, "Nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs," Ernie would write it down. You know. So I was down at the Opry one night sometime after that, and Ernie had gone home to California, gotten his television show, and was one of the top-rated primetime television shows in America. So I saw Paul backstage at the Opry, and I said, "Paul, have you been to California lately?" He says, "No, but I understand my act is doing quite well."
I wandered so aimless, life filled with sin. I wouldn't let my dear Savior in. And Jesus came like a stranger in the night. Praise the Lord, I saw the light. I saw the light. I saw the light. No more darkness, no more night. Now I'm so happy, no sorrow inside. Praise the Lord, I saw the light. I was a fool to wander